The story of Bishop St. Albert the Great.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Imagine it's the 13th century in Europe, a time of great intellectual curiosity, deep religious faith, and emerging discoveries. The air is filled with the hustle and bustle of scholars, monks, and bishops in monasteries and universities. But one name stands out from the rest: Albertus Magnus, or as we know him today, St. Albert the Great. His life was a powerful mix of faith, science, and wisdom, an inspiring story of how one man used his knowledge to better the world. Now, let's take a closer look at his journey. Born around the year 1200 in a small town in what's now Germany, Albert came from a noble family. He was well educated, and at a young age he was sent to study at the University of Padua in Italy. But Albert wasn't just interested in learning for the sake of learning. He had a deep hunger to understand the world around him. He wasn't satisfied with just what others had told him. He wanted to know the why behind things, the how things worked. As Albert grew older, he made an important decision. He would become a Dominican friar. Now, being a friar in those days wasn't like today's typical religious life. Friars were deeply committed to studying, teaching, and serving others. But they were also encouraged to engage with the world's big questions. The Dominican order was dedicated to intellectual pursuit, and Albert knew this was the path for him. But there was one little detail. His family was not thrilled with his decision. Albert's family, with their noble status and wealth, had plans for him to live a more successful life in society. They hoped he would follow a political or military career, something more prestigious. But Albert, listening to the call of something deeper, chose the life of study and devotion. And in doing so, he was destined to become one of the greatest thinkers the world had ever known. Now, here's where Albert's story gets even more interesting. As a young friar, Albert studied the teachings of Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher. But he did not see philosophy and science as being separate from his Christian faith. In fact, he believed that by studying the natural world, one could better understand the Creator. This was groundbreaking for his time, when many believed that the study of nature could conflict with religious beliefs. Albert's approach was fresh and revolutionary. He saw science and faith as two sides of the same coin. He began to study everything: plants, animals, the stars, and the human body. He became the first person in the Western world to write an encyclopedic work on natural science, bringing together knowledge from various cultures and ideas from both the ancient Greeks and the Arabic scholars of his time. But Albert didn't just stay in the library all day. He also believed in teaching what he knew. In fact, one of the most famous students he ever had was a man named Thomas Aquinas, who would go on to become a saint and one of the most important theologians in the history of Christianity. Albert was not just a brilliant scholar, but also a mentor who helped shape the next generation of thinkers. As Albert's knowledge and reputation grew, he was eventually called to a higher role in the church. In 1260, he was made a bishop of the city of Regensburg. Being a bishop was no small task. He wasn't just a religious leader, but also a political figure, responsible for guiding his community both spiritually and in practical matters. Despite the demands of his position, Albert never stopped studying or teaching. He used his influence to promote peace and to encourage scientific research, even in an era when many religious leaders feared that scientific ideas might challenge traditional religious teachings. Albert believed that faith and reason could go hand in hand, and this belief was central to his work. He was a tireless advocate for learning, and he worked hard to support scholars and promote education throughout his diocese. But it wasn't just about books and theories for Albert. He was also deeply compassionate. He cared about the poor, the sick, and the marginalized, always making time to help those in need. In this way, he truly embodied the Christian ideals of love and service. In the final years of his life, Albert faced great challenges. He struggled with health problems, and at one point, he even experienced a kind of mental fog, perhaps from an illness that made it difficult for him to remember his past work. But Albert never gave up. Even in his struggles, he continued to serve, teach, and offer wisdom to those who sought it. His humility and perseverance were truly remarkable. Albert the Great passed away in 1280. He was remembered not only as a brilliant scholar, but also as a saint, someone who devoted his life to both faith and reason. He was canonized a saint in 1931 and later declared a doctor of the Church, an honor given to only a few select figures in Christian history. St. Albert the Great's life reminds us that we can all use our talents and knowledge to make the world a better place. Whether we're scientists, teachers, or everyday people, we are called to seek truth, to help others, and to live with a deep sense of purpose. And so, the story of Albert the Great continues to inspire us today. His blend of faith, reason, and compassion is a timeless reminder of what it means to live a life dedicated to both learning and serving others.